You wanna come over here? You wanna come say hi? Can you say hi? Okay.
Oh, okay. Who
This
is
is
that you
Hunter.
have?
He's the one that's 6 months old.
Oh,
Yeah. Teeth.
what's up,
Show
buddy?
off your teeth.
Oh,
Yay.
well, cool. Let's go ahead and get started here. Really, what we just want to know is like kind of the story of your life, um, what the Lord has done for you, leading up to the birth of your children, and then where you are after, how your views on um, the world and yourself and your life situation have changed, and just all of those
Okay.
things.
Um, so in high school, I I think I had like a very juvenile idea of who God was. I had never, I started having questions that I felt like I wasn't getting answered, that people just kept telling me, like, oh, you just got to have faith. And I thought it was like a blind faith kind of thing. So when I graduated high school and I went to school in LA, I I don't know, I didn't understand sin. I didn't understand really God. Um, so there was a period. So I did believe in high school, like I said, and then there was a period of 9 years where I did not believe at all. I would say I was an atheist, like firmly not believing, and like I would say I was very pro-abortion. And I actually had an abortion. And
Whoa. Would you mind sharing, I guess, what that was like, the aftermath, um, and all of that? It sounds
yeah,
traumatizing.
so I'm gonna stand up if that's okay. I'll go back further. So I went to a place about an hour away, and they told me that I had to come back when I was further along. Like I was only 6 weeks, and they needed to be able to see the heartbeat or hear the heartbeat in order to move forward with the abortion. And so I had to go home, and then I had to come back, and it was an hour away, and I didn't have a car at the time. It was just a lot. I went back, and they did the heartbeat. I still have the picture of the ultrasound with the heartbeat. And then they gave me a pill that I had to take in front of them in the office, and then a pill to take at home. And then I came home, and there wasn't anyone I could talk to about it. Like nobody knew what was going on. And my uncle was visiting. It was just, there was a lot of family around, and I had to pretend like nothing was wrong. But I went into the bathroom because they told me that it was just going to be like, you're just going to have like a heavy period and everything's going to be fine. And if you need to go to the hospital, like, here's this piece of paper that you can take to the hospital so they understand what's going on. But that's not going to happen. And so I came home, and it was incredibly painful. I have a really high pain tolerance, and it was the most painful. I've given birth to two boys, two heavy boys at birth, and the abortion was more painful. I was thinking it was going to be just a heavy period, or also just like, I don't know. I guess I just thought it was going to be not as bad since it wasn't like a surgical abortion. But it was like a murder scene in my bathroom. And then I looked down after I had wiped, and there was like, it looked like a tiny baby. And nobody knew what was going on. And so I just had to flush it. And, at the time my thoughts were different than they are now. So I just, for 9 years, just didn't care. Like, it was just something that happens, like, just like you're have your period every month, and that's just something that happens. Like, there was no negative emotion attached to it at all. I didn't care at all. And I would still say that I was pro-abortion after that. And if anybody needed to be driven to go get one, like, I would tell them that I would do it for them. But they didn't have to be alone, and it's just different now. I just feel all of that emotion now. I ended up having to go to the hospital. It was like the baby came out, but there was still like residual tissue inside, so I had to go to the hospital, and they had to do a DNC and like scrape out everything, and I was alone, and it was painful after already going through all of that emotional. Even though it didn't, like, the weight of having an abortion, I wasn't carrying that emotional weight. It was like the physical pain of it, and being alone in that felt really isolating, and I couldn't talk to anybody about it. Yeah, it was just really bad. And definitely not like what they had told me that it was going to be, like just a heavy period.
Oh, that's incredible. Thank you for sharing that, Ashlyn. So I'm obviously, I guess a lot has changed for you since then. You know, you said even after that traumatizing experience, you would still, drive anyone to the abortion clinic if they needed to, or help anyone out in that way. So I guess just describe the process that you went through, having two precious babies since then, and now being a completely different person. Like, what happened? What's the story there?
So I think with Parker, I didn't want to go through that. I knew the pain, and I knew that how they explained it. Like, it's not a heavy period. It was so much more traumatic than that. And then right before I got pregnant with Parker, I had a friend who had a stillborn baby, and just the emotions that she went through with having a stillborn baby, and like she wanted the baby so much, and her going through that brought up a lot of emotions for me with the abortion and making that decision. She wanted that baby so much, and she would have done anything to keep it. Yet I had a baby that I just chose to abort. It brought up a lot of emotions, and that was right before I got pregnant with Parker. And so I think that played a big part in why I chose to have Parker and not have him aborted. But it wasn't at all, like, that decision wasn't rooted in Christ. But through having Parker and deciding to move forward with the pregnancy, I met Natalie. And even though I wasn't ready to hear what she was saying, it like started softening my heart. Like, her prayers were heard. And even though it took some time, like, I think when it came time when I was pregnant with Hunter, where I was faced with that decision to have an abortion or not have an abortion, I was not in a place where I could financially afford to have another baby. Good job, Parker. And so I thought, even though I just had a baby and I don't want to have an abortion, and I'm starting to learn about God, I think I have to, because I can't afford to have two babies. And like, I know people say, well, you can adopt, but I don't know. It would just tear me apart to have to like carry a baby and then not have it be mine. Have to like give it away. And so I knew that something had, I don't know. I knew that something needed to change. I don't know. I was way more, um, I considered having the abortion way more with Hunter than I did with Parker.
And you said the factors for that. You said even though you were starting to learn about the Lord, I just want to make sure I understood correctly. You couldn't, or you were worried about bringing another child into the world. What were the factors that you listed that you were worried about when you were considering having an abortion with Hunter?
Well, with Hunter, it was like I could not possibly afford it. I couldn't see a future where I would be able to financially support two babies. Like I was barely scraping by with Parker. And I was living in a really small place. Like there wasn't even enough room for Hunter. Like there it was such a tiny, like it was essentially one room. And it was hard enough to just have Parker. That's why I'm saying like that God providing that apartment that we moved into with the 2 rooms has been like, it played such a huge part in why I believe in God. Like I was in that place of complete desperation and I knew that there was nothing I can do. I could not possibly afford this financially. And, I had a caseworker through you guys who, just prayed with me. And it was like the specifics of the prayer were just exactly what happened. Like, I couldn't have possibly made that happen. Like, God had to have made that happen. And so, yeah.
What were the specifics of that prayer that all came to be
It was like,
that ultimately influenced your decision to keep Hunter?
yeah, it was like that there would be room to have both of them asleep in separate rooms where they wouldn't wake each other up. Like things like even having a place for like some type of yard for them to play in as they grow. Having a dishwasher and a place to like a washer and dryer hookup so I wouldn't have to like constantly be going to the laundromat and spending money I didn't have. Just like very specific. And not even all of those specifics. It was like it was cheaper than where I was at before. I was at a place where I had to pay the water bill, and this place pays the water bill included in the rent. This place was only a minute away from my mom's house. It was just, I just couldn't believe like all the specifics. There's probably more.
It's crazy how like the Holy Spirit just imparts wisdom to other people that barely know us to pray for things on our behalf that we don't even know or that we know we need, that the Lord knows we need. It's just crazy to me how the Lord truly does have a heart. I'm just finding even in my own life that more patient and trusting I am, even though I've been through seasons where I'm like, okay, Lord, people are like, oh, just have faith, Claire, just have faith. And I'm like, okay, like I have faith, but at the same time, I still have questions. Why is you're not doing this? Why don't I have prayer answered? It just is a reminder to me, and I'm so encouraged that we truly work even when we don't feel like it.
And then Ashlyn, I do have to ask, what were some of the tangible things you talked about? Your caseworker praying with you for all those things, and they came to be. Do you remember what did Let Them Live help with any financial assistance or anything like that for any of that process?
Yeah, they did. And not only that, it was more than just financial. It was like on a personal level, like helping me find a job and helping me, with paying the rent and the so it was like paying the rent right away, like right as soon as I was talking to her, but also so that the rent would be paid, like for like a maternity leave, since I just barely started that job. Um, Hi. Um, but yeah, looking for the jobs, looking for work from home jobs, praying about like what happens after that, like what is it going to look like to work and have two kids. And now here I am with that prayer answered about going to school, and now I'm almost done with school. Um, yeah, so it's just, it was, yes, the financial aspect definitely helped, but it was, to me, it was even better to have somebody to talk to who was helping me in more tangible ways than just money. Like the looking for a job and looking for resources, like what food banks are around me, or I don't know. I just felt like she was fighting as hard for my situation as I was.
Totally, totally. That's awesome. I'm really glad to hear that. That's awesome. So now that you have had Hunter, if you could go back and tell yourself anything, like in hindsight, especially maybe directed at yourself during that time when you were thinking like, I don't know if I can even keep him, I can't afford to have another kid. What would you tell yourself now looking back?
Like God is real. Um, he cares. He listens. Um, he provides. I think that's what I would tell myself.
Okay, beautiful. Perfect. Okay. And then how did your perspective on Hunter change after seeing him for the first time after he was born?
Yeah, so I definitely did feel like a disconnect when I was pregnant with him. Um, I definitely felt a disconnect. I wasn't like excited to be pregnant or like happy about him kicking or anything. It actually didn't happen right away. I went through postpartum depression really badly after I had him. Um, but I think that's kind of what led. It played a part. Like he was born, and then a month later, that's when I started believing. I think having the postpartum depression also aided in like putting my heart in a right place to accept Jesus. Um, and now it's like, yeah, I couldn't imagine life without him. He is wonderful. And just watching, like, he loves to watch Parker play, and, you know, he pulls his hair sometimes. They're just cute. I love them. Are you saying hi?
What was your
Yo, what's up, Parker? What's up,
Hey,
dude?
Parker?
Yo,
He's
Parker.
Ashlyn, what was your support like in your life when you found out you were pregnant with Hunter, but then even like your family, what were all the people around you telling you? How were they supporting you or not supporting you? That's question number one. I also have another question, but I'll let you answer that first.
So it was kind of like, we just went through this. Like, what do you do? What do you mean you're pregnant? Yeah, they were not supportive. Um, they, they were believers, and so, um, I'm not married, and I wasn't going to church. I think they were just kind of thinking like, there she is again, making like irresponsible decisions. Um, yeah. It was very not great.
Yeah, I understand that. Is it different now that he's here? Sorry, that car is really loud.
Yeah. I think it was even worse before, like when it was Parker. Um, it was worse. Like we didn't have a good relationship. Like none of us really had a good relationship at all. And then we started getting closer because Carter was here. Um, After that, it was like, okay, she's making bad decisions, and yeah, I would say like my support system after having Hunter is a lot better.
Yeah, for sure. I'm really thankful for that. And I'm also so thankful you have like a great church community, it sounds like. That's such a blessing. Right, it might be loud. How did you find out about Let Them Live? Or how'd you find us?
I think it was like a post on Instagram where someone was talking about like they were like arguing. It was like a debate in the comments about like there being resources for moms. Um, and the person was like, well, there are resources that does exist already, and there's resources like Let Them Live. And I was like, let me check that out. Let's see. Like,
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's so cool.
yeah.
That's really cool. Another question I was thinking of, well, also, by the way, that's how
Really?
I find Let Them Live was Instagram too. So that's cool. Yeah. What are your hopes that you have for Hunter? What are some hopes and prayers you have for their life?
I want to learn as much as I can. Um, about theology and apologetics, and I want to be able to answer their questions when they come up. And I want them to be able to answer their friends when their friends question them. Like to be able to give a defense, like from a young age. I want to build them up to be really strong in their faith.
Yeah, for sure. That's really. If somebody came to you, I just thought of this myself. Uh, if somebody came to you and was like, maybe she was like, she just found out she was pregnant and she has nobody around her, and maybe it's somebody that you meet at the grocery store, and she's like, I have no idea what I'm gonna do. Abortion, like, what would you say?
Oh, I actively look for situations like that. And like if anyone is even, I mean, even if I find out that they're pregnant or that they could be pregnant, I'm like already like I have this really good I have this really cool group of friends at the Pregnancy Care Resource Center that are just all they do is love on you and help you through. Their really good mentors. They give you free diapers. And 3 of the girls in my class that I met in August are now attending. One of them is due next month. Yeah, I love like the Pregnancy Care Resource Center here. Ronnie and April are amazing. And April, actually, I go to the church. I found the church that I go to through April. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, that's so cool.
I actively, that's even like on social media. I'm in like Mamas Helping Mamas group.
Yeah.
And I'm like, people will be like, does anybody have size 6 diapers? And I'm like, hey, there's a place that you can go. Or, I'm just always trying to find ways to point people towards going over there.
Well, that is you're a hero for that, because not enough people actually are out there. I don't know. I just feel like so often nowadays everyone's just like with themselves and how can I deal with my situation? It's really encouraging to hear that you're doing that. So that's so cool.
Well, is there anything else you want to say about your story or anything, Ashlyn, before we wrap up here?
No, I'm just so thankful. I'm just so thankful. I was very, like the least likely person. And I'm just so thankful that God is so faithful.